it, but it will not come. You can taste it, but it will not fall. You can crush it, but it's always here. You can crush it, but it's always near. Chasing you home.
fat hands are gonna slap your mommy's glass till the cows come home. And all the girls and boys who don't like any noise are gonna send the word by phone. Now everything's the same, you don't know who to blame when your life's a custard pie. And everybody in it's gotta get a shot of wind to see the faces in the sky.
Strangers for your friends. All these people aren't your friends. Try to dance on your broken glass, pull the shards out when you're gone. Then they'll curse your name, renounce every flattering word that they said to you. Don't say a word, choose them carefully. They're like bullets in the air. You should aim your gun before you pull the trigger. Or maybe you should just put it away. fly.